So are you ready? So for the interview?
I am. Do you mind if I'm standing? Is that okay?
Yeah, don't worry. As you feel comfortable. Yeah. So because I saw
I'm totally comfortable. The light is better, I think.
yeah, thank you so much. So because I saw some interviews and I saw you had very bright green eyes, so it's yeah, really yeah, very beautiful. So yeah, and so we see a little bit more of your face. So yeah, thank you so much for having us, and it's a pleasure to talk to you and about your new film. So and
Thanks
yeah,
so much.
yeah, if you don't like any of the questions, you just can skip it. So it's
That's okay.
because yeah, the interview should serve you and your project. So I really try to my best to yeah to bring it up. So I was researching you, of course, and I could not find that much about you, to be honest. So of course.
Really?
Wikipedia and everything. So I just saw that you did not that much movies. What I could see on Wikipedia, it was Life Partners, The Spy Who Dumped Me, Cat Person, your recent movie, and in 2024, Winner. So, but you also have some books. So it was really fascinating to me that I couldn't find that much. And but the thing that I found was very diverse. But so also the critics about Cat Person. So I thought, yeah, that must be a very because in the interview I noted the Susanna Fogels, the wild white talent. So you must be a very having a bright talent of directing and the way you deal with language. So maybe you also want to speak about your past. So how do you became a director, or just to because it's not so easy. There are a lot of different genres, and to put you into one. So I'm really fascinated about that. So please tell us a bit about you.
Yeah. I There's a little bit of a reverb. Or is it coming? Is it on your end?
It's I can hear it. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Hang on. Is that on your end? Hold on. There we
Yeah,
go. Is that better? Perfect. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we have like 10 laptops in this room, so we're trying to manage it. Yeah,
fantastic.
so I started writing and directing short films as a teenager.
Mm.
Um, Videos. It was the 90s. So I wrote shorts and then I just managed to film them in my kitchen, and my friends and I acted in them. And it was just really the way that I got started making my own short films. Um, Mostly comedies that were sort of observational comedies about people my age and what they were up to. Uh, and and actually, that's when I knew I wanted to do this, because I really wanted to tell stories that were authentic representations of people my age, which I wasn't really seeing at the time. And I studied literature in college, and really developed a love for storytelling and reading the great classics. And then I moved out to LA after university and started trying to go down this impossible road of becoming a director, which involved a lot of writing. I became a professional writer, and for years was trying to do that while I convinced people that I could direct, which at the time for a woman was not as easy as it was for a man. It was like 2002 to 2010. Um, it was more of a rarity for women to try to do the job. It was more expensive to make movies then. So it was just really hard to get people to invest. And the bar for me having to be really confident and sell myself was really high. And it's hard for women to do that sometimes. And so it took me a while to
Yeah.
get there. And then in my early 30s, I had a script at the Sundance Lab that became my first short film. I mean, my first low budget feature film. And that was a comedic kind of slice of life movie about a friendship called Life Partners.
Yeah.
After that, I found myself kind of pigeonholed in this genre of small women's friendship stories and indie movies. And I wanted to prove to people that I could do something big and expensive, like I thought they would do. So I wrote this movie called The Spy Who Dumped Me with a friend, and we got a big budget, and we were shooting in like Berlin and Budapest and all these incredible places. And I was like thrust into the world of making studio films, and made that one. And then after that was feeling like I wanted to challenge myself to bring my resources to something that felt a little bit more daring. And so when I read Cat Person, I thought, and Winner also for that matter, they're two movies I've spent 3 and 5 years on. And I was like, okay, if I can take my skills that I use in television or in these big movies and put them to use for something really specific and provocative, that's sort of the best synthesis of the skills I developed at that point.
Yeah, yeah, really fascinating. I'm really impressed. So really cool. So you mentioned you also were a little bit into acting. At first, when you wrote your stories, you also acted them. So yeah.
And that was just by necessity. I lived in Rhode Island, which is a small city in New England that doesn't really have like an acting base. So I had to sort of like act in my own stuff. It wasn't any I didn't have any acting ambitions. It was just something.
But I think that helped you as a director to how do you say, to deal with actors, or just how to communicate with them? Would you say that?
Definitely. I mean, I think that just knowing how hard it is and how vulnerable it is to act is helpful for a director to know. I think there's a sense that actors are your puppets and you're the director and your job is to tell them where to stand and what to do. But understanding the vulnerability of them putting their image in your hands is really useful to communicating and to sensitivity,
I mean, I'm an actress by myself, and we as actors, we love when the director also knows the other side, because the communication is so much more also on a relationship level, and not just the sentence, just do it a little bit different, So, and you just don't know what to do. So it's, So because it's, the cast was really fantastic. So I really love the cast, and also to see this, as you mentioned, this vulnerability from them. So I think also, there were fight scenes, there were very close scenes. So how was the work, or what were the scenes that you thought, oh, this would be easy, but in the end of the day, it took you longer, or it was very challenging?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scenes where there's just a little, like, the sex scene and the fight scene are logistically complicated, but they're clear. It's clear what's going on, and you have to sort of just like execute a plan you've come up with. Whereas I think the scenes where something's just a little bit off or something's just a little bit wrong and it's a little bit more nuanced are harder, because it's sort of a little bit more subjective. It's a little bit more subtle. So those are the scenes that actually kind of took a while, because they had to hit exactly the right note, So I would say the scenes that contain humor, drama, and subtext are always the hardest, because they're so precise. They have to be.
Yeah. So when there is an actor or an actress, and there is a very delicate scene or emotions that they have to play, and it's very difficult, or they're not at that point where you want to have them to be. So how do you deal with the actors and actresses?
You mean actors having like complications filming something, or?
Yeah, or just when you say, it's, you have, they're just not at that place where you want them to be from the script, or your vision you have about the movie, or the picture you have in your head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's every actor needs to be spoken to a different way. It's like figuring out the psychology of how someone likes to be communicated with, and also what are their insecurities and what are their personality quirks, and figuring out how to like get what you need out of somebody coming from a place of like analysis. Basically, it's manipulative, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean you're kind of like, what does this person need to feel comfortable, and how can I like instantly give that to them, because the clock is running out. And so that's sort of like, you have to have pretty sharp powers of analysis, and then you have to just make a judgment about what they need. When some actors want to obsess about their performance, it's like, some actors, if you say, no, it was really good, but it wasn't that good, they know you're lying. They lose respect.
Every actress knows it. So.
And then, but then if you say, yeah, you're right, it wasn't that good, there's certain actors who can't handle that. So it's like, what does a person need? And there's certain actors who you get a shorthand with where they're like, that wasn't that good. And you're like, yeah, that sucked. Go again. And that's a certain comfort level that I think when you get there with someone, you can get incredible stuff out of them, but you don't often get to know someone that well within the time of working with them. I got to that place with Emilia, who plays Margot, and then she's also in Winner. And by the time we were on the set for Winner, I was like, oh, I can tell her anything and she can tell me anything.
Yeah, so beautiful.
But it doesn't, I think that's why you see people working together over and over, because you can't like replicate that comfort level with someone.
Yeah, and this is what we see. That's, I think a lot of directors choose their favorite actors again and over and over again because they got so comfortable working, or just they know what as an actress, what the director expects, and what how do you have to bring it, and it's the whole process makes it so much more smooth and a lot of fun, and it becomes like, I think, a little family. So would you type yourself also a director who is, when you once had a good experience or a great shoot with someone, that you would choose them again for future projects?
Oh yeah, I've had like, there's certain actors I will just work with again and again and again, and and I love also getting to know an actor because I get to know what roles they don't get asked to play, and what roles they wish they got sent more of, and what opportunities they feel they haven't gotten. So I can like, especially with actresses, like they get pigeonholed and they get asked to do the same thing over and over and over and play one role over and over and over. And they do it because they need the work, but they don't get to show what else they can do. So when I get to know somebody, I get a chance to see them, and I'm like, okay, I bet you could do something else. And I bet you want to do something else. And I bet no one asks you to do something else, but I feel like that's my special gift I can give them,
Yeah, because over time you get to know each other so much more and deeper. And maybe after that long process, you will realize, oh, there is a certain talent this actor or this actress has, and I could not realize or not see it from the first casting or so. And this is something what I truly appreciate when I really think you can sense that as an audience from the movie when they had a good relationship and or also a deeper one. And so that's really beautiful, really fantastic. So this whole social media was very involved. Also when I read some critics, it was. I think truly I never had a movie where the critics were so different from each other, because I was thinking, do we still talking about the same movie? So it's really fascinating. So for me, it was both characters are very searching, very looking for love. In the end of the day, I think it's such a human being thing. We all need. I think we are made out of love, and we need love. And but this whole social media and this the whole feminism and everything what's going on in this world, I think it's all packed into this movie. And what do you want in the end of the day, what the audience can share or can take from that movie?
From this movie, I mean, I think I want people to see the movie and talk about it, and I want men to see the movie and talk about it. It's not a woman's movie. It's a movie. It's not a movie that's like setting out to punish all men. It's a movie that wants to invite men into a conversation with women, and hopefully men know that enough to buy a ticket and talk about it with your friends, because it will be provocative and personal, to everybody.
Would you say it's this? Yeah, it was very provocative in a way. So, I mean, I imagine if I would be a man, how would I feel about, also to see this, the point of view from a man. So what do you wish from both sides? Because I think in the end of the day, our all goal is to build relationship, to build a conversation between men and women. So how do you think this movie is serving to reconnect or to heal women and men?
I mean, I think that hopefully it's the next chapter in a conversation between women and men, where we had Me Too. We had moments where women were saying, wait, we want to tell our stories and you need to listen and you need to look at what men have done. And men are like,
I think it's now.
What now? What do we do now? What can we do now? How can we learn? Mm-hmm. So that's what this movie is trying to do. Basically, it's for men and women to see themselves in one or both characters and maybe reflect on some experiences they've had, and then just carry a little bit more awareness into their future interactions with the opposite sex.
Yeah, I think the whole social media thing in the movie doesn't make it easier, because we're I mean, of course, I could find myself also in the movie and I think every woman, every man, and this whole, we're building up, or we're communicating through our phones. So would you say in the end of the day, it's that social media and just texting, and especially in a period when we get to know each other, what's a very, very fragile, it's very fragile, but it's a very beautiful period of time when you get to know a man. So does it serve it, a relationship, or it's just more dramatizing, or it's just, this is reality? So I think that's maybe two questions.
It's probably all of it. I mean, like, I think these are issues that are timeless, like women placating men, men being sensitive, men, I think some of those issues are very primal. Women being afraid of men because they're bigger, like those things that factor in are as old as caveman times, but I think phones and how much we interact with each other when we're not in person is problematic, because we can build a story in our head with more information, and it's not real information. Like, the data has been tampered with by our own brains on the way,
There was so much interpretation in that movie. To be honest, for me, it was a little bit a heartbreak, because I really loved both of this character, the type. He was a very nice guy, and she was very, a chic, smart lady. And in my imagination, or in my ending, they could end up having a relationship. And I think this social media is a little bit gives a certain tragedy to it, so it made me a little bit sad.
No, I mean, I think it's so many things go wrong about it that they pass the point of no return. But I know what you mean.
It did. So I really liked the start, it was just so, in a daily base, everyone knows, you see that nice guy, and then she's reaching out. And so, the start was very lovely, but then it's turned into kind of, first of all, I thought it's a nice romance. Then it started into a certain comedy, what I really liked. But then it turned into a thriller, and I said, okay, what's going on with this movie and my emotions? So it's it's a very bright movie, actually. So I was really wondering about that dog. It was his dog, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is something what I really love about my job, to really ask this, to have the chance to ask these questions. So what was about that dog? Why you choose to film the dog, and then to realize it is his dog, and also the thing with the cats. So
I mean, those were part of the script that Michelle wrote, but basically, to speak to why she did that, the dog, it's sort of, Robert had noticed her, and the truth is that if she liked him, it would have been a romantic story. Like, he could have stood up at their wedding and said, I've heard wedding speeches where it's like, well, she didn't give me the time of day, but I just kept following her around campus, and everyone laughs. And, it's like, people tell those stories and they end at the altar. So I think Robert was like, I've got my eye on her. It's not stalking if she likes him. It's only stalking if she doesn't like him. So that's sort of the nuance of that. And the cats, it's like, in the story, you never know whether or not he has cats. In the movie, it's one detail about him that she assumed the worst about. Like, she assumed that he was lying about everything, and he was not, but he also did other things wrong, So it wasn't as bad as she thought, but it was bad in other ways that she didn't think. And it was just a different story than the one she told herself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's kind of what I experience personally. How I experience men is that they're more insecure, or more into. I was talking to a guy last year, and he was just, he didn't knew we didn't knew each other so well, but he didn't knew if he can give me a hug or not, and he wanted to be respectful. So a movie like yours, or this story, or this, I mean, we come not around to also mention feminism. Do you think also, because it is about men, how men treat women, but also how women treat men. So for me, what I observe, I don't know if I'm a little bit ambivalent about the whole Me Too story, because in the end of the day, when I look now, how men changed. For me, it was not strengthen their masculinity and say, hey, you're a father, you're a leader, and you have to take responsibility, because women, we're emotional, we're weak. Yeah, we are weak, but it's beautiful. And the men, I say it's just very, very old school. So
Yeah.
would you say, as an artist, as a director, who's totally into the scene, how do you observe this? Did it serve men and also women in the end of the day? The whole story.
Yeah, you mean how did the movement affect culture?
Yeah, because I feel that men, they're more insecure, even more insecure now, and it's not really encouraging them or strengthening their masculinity and because what we want in the end of the day is that men take responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that we needed the language to talk about our experiences, and that's what that peak Me Too
addressing
to start the conversation. But we can't stop evolving the conversation, because it hit a point where I think men were like, okay, we get it, we're bad, you hate us, what now? And then we need to keep talking, otherwise we're going to have more division between the sexes, and it's going to be even harder to connect. And I think that leading with having the new words to talk about the problematic dynamics is good. And now we need to use those words with nuance and not overuse them until they lose their meaning,
Mm-hmm. So I'm really, really curious about your future projects, or what is, your creative process, or where do you want to go, or what's inspiring you, and maybe you want to share something that could serve you or your future projects.
Sure, yeah. I made a movie about a whistleblower named Reality Winner. It's coming out next year. Emilia's the star of it again, and she plays a completely different role.
It's the winner, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. And then I have a couple of other things on the TV side that are coming out, but I can't talk about them yet. But I have a lot coming up. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I hope that people are tuning in to all of it.
Yeah. So where we can find you. So I checked you out. You're on Instagram. So or where else we can find you, or your project?
I'm on Twitter, X, and I'm on Instagram, although I've been locked out of my Instagram because I got a new phone. It's a long story, so I can't get it. I can't get in there. So if anybody tries to contact me, I don't see your message, but I am on there. And on Twitter, I'm regularly on Twitter, so I can find you there.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So I think it's not a coincidence as a writer to also be on Twitter. How are you using that?
I mean, I try to stay off social media because I find it just sucks my energy. I think it's important for news and getting current news, but I feel like it could just lead to a lot of the people who are the most vocal on Twitter are the most extreme in their thinking. And that's not a thing that I need to submerge myself in on a daily basis. So I actually try to stay off of it, but I do go on there every so often, but really just to procrastinate.
Okay. Yeah. So the time is over. Thank you so much for giving me so much time. Really appreciate it. Wish you all the best, really all the best for your fantastic. I'm really excited to hear and see so much more about you. And be so blessed in all of your ways. Thank you
so much. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Take care.
All the best. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.